My own father looked my 6-year-old daughter in the eye and told her she wasn't real family. The silence that followed was louder than any scream I've ever heard. I still see Chloe's little face, eyes wide, mouth trembling, unable to understand how her grandfather could say something so cruel. I wanted the ground to swallow me whole, but I couldn't move. I had to be strong for her. My heart broke in two at that exact moment, knowing nothing could undo the sting of his words. It all started at my niece Ava's birthday party. Everything was picture perfect, just like Robert loved it. Balloons, a chocolate fountain, and families dressed to the nines. Brittany had everything. Her husband Mark, a big house, and the kind of polished, Instagram-worthy life my father always bragged about. Chloe, my little girl with her shy smile and sensitive nature, held my hand tightly, excited yet nervous. I could feel her energy, her hope, and I wanted to protect it. I wanted her to feel included, to feel loved. As Robert handed out the elaborate gift bags, my stomach tightened. Each child received something sparkling and perfect, just as expected. I watched Chloe's tiny hands reach out, her face lighting up, expecting the same. Then it happened. Robert stopped, squinted at her, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Sorry, sweetie. This is for real family only." My blood ran cold. Chloe froze, her little lips quivering, confusion and hurt flooding her eyes. She looked at me, searching for an explanation, and I could feel the tears rising in my own eyes. I had no words that could make this better for her, no apology that could undo the humiliation. Without thinking, I bent down, took her small hand in mine, and whispered, "Come on, baby. Let's go." I guided her away from the crowd, from the laughter that suddenly felt cruel and hollow. People stared, mouths agape, unsure what to say. I didn't care. Chloe's well-being mattered more than appearances, more than trying to fit into a family that didn't see her worth. That night, as we drove home, I held her close, feeling her tiny body shake with quiet sobs. I promised her that she was loved, that she was enough, and that no one had the right to make her feel less than she is. That one sentence from my father shattered more than just a party moment. It broke the illusion I had clung to, the idea that blood alone made someone family. It set me on a path I never expected to walk, a path where I would protect my daughter at all costs and redefine what family truly means. Chloe's tear-streaked face burned into my memory, and I knew, from that day forward, we wouldn't be waiting for validation from people who didn't see us. We had each other, and that was everything. That night, after getting home, I tucked Chloe into bed, smoothing her hair and trying to quiet her shaking little body. Her small voice broke through the quiet room when she whispered, "Mom, why doesn't Grandpa love me?" My chest tightened, and I fought to hold back tears. I held her close, wishing I could erase what had happened, but I couldn't. I promised her that she was valued, and that no one could take that away. Later, my phone buzzed with a message from my father. I stared at it in disbelief. "Don't come around anymore if you're going to be so dramatic." The words were cold, dismissive, and carried the same arrogance he always had. A fire rose in me, not just anger but a sharp, focused resolve. I typed back, keeping my tone steady. "Perfect, so you won't need my money then." I hit send, knowing it was more than a message. It was the first time I stood up for Chloe in a way that might actually make him pay attention. Within minutes, our family group chat exploded. Brittany's messages were full of outrage, blaming me for ruining everything, and calling me overreactive. Mark chimed in, trying to justify Robert's behavior and making it clear he thought I had overstepped. Diane, my mother, sent a few messages begging for calm, asking us to keep the peace. But she never addressed the cruelty or what had been said to Chloe. I scrolled through the chat, my stomach twisting. Nobody defended my daughter. Not one voice stood with her. Not one. In that moment, I understood something clearly. The people who were supposed to care the most, the ones who should have shielded Chloe, had chosen to ignore her pain. They had chosen loyalty to Robert and appearances over truth and kindness. That's when the line was drawn. I wasn't just protecting Chloe anymore. I was protecting my dignity and sanity. I refused to let anyone, even my own family, treat her, or me, as less than we are. I closed the chat, feeling a strange mix of sadness and determination. Sadness for the family we had lost, and determination for the life we still had ahead. Chloe curled up beside me, exhausted from her tears, and I whispered again that she was everything to me. That night, I made a silent vow. No more bending, no more excuses, no more waiting for approval from people who didn't see our worth. We had each other, and that would be enough. As I turned off the lights, The anger inside me felt focused, purposeful. It wasn't just about money or a party anymore. It was about respect, justice, and finally drawing a line that no one in that family could cross. Chloe deserved a mother who would fight for her, and I would be that mother, even if it meant standing completely alone. That night marked the beginning of a change. I wasn't just a parent. I was a protector, and Chloe would never feel unwanted again. We would build our own world, one where love, fairness, and loyalty weren't just words, but a reality we lived every day. The weeks after the party passed slowly, filled with quiet routines and careful attention to Chloe. We settled into a rhythm that felt safe, a space where she could laugh without fear, and I could watch her grow without constant reminders of the family who had hurt us. Life became about small joys, cooking together, reading bedtime stories, and letting Chloe run around the park freely. The world outside our little home seemed less important than making sure she felt secure and loved. Then one afternoon, my phone rang. It was Diane. I hesitated before answering, expecting the usual hollow words or excuses. But what came next caught me off guard. She wasn't calling to apologize or even check on Chloe. Instead, she asked for help. Robert's accounting firm was having technical problems with their servers, and she wanted me to fix it. I paused, hearing the unspoken expectation behind her voice, the assumption that I would drop everything to serve them. But this time I said no. I kept my tone polite but firm. For the first time, I refused to be the one who patched over their problems or shielded them from their own mistakes. Hanging up, I felt a strange mix of relief and unease. Their reliance on me had always been subtle but constant, a quiet pressure that had kept me entangled. Now, stepping back, I realized how deeply I had been drawn into their world without even noticing. My refusal left an unexpected emptiness on their end, but a lightness for me. For the first time, I was acting purely in my own and Chloe's interest. Later that evening, memories I had long tucked away surfaced. My grandfather's words echoed in my mind. When the time comes, look for the key in my old roll-top desk. He had always been observant, noticing how Robert favored Brittany and how the family's attention often bypassed me. I remembered the warmth of his voice, the wisdom in his gaze, and the trust he had placed in me. He had left hints, guidance, and perhaps a plan, believing I would one day need to see the truth for myself. The thought lingered, stirring both curiosity and determination. My grandfather had always believed in fairness and justice, and I had always admired that about him. Now, in the wake of Chloe's heartbreak and the family's coldness, I realized that his guidance might not just be a sentimental memory, but a lifeline. A way to uncover what had always been hidden, to understand the choices made by those I had trusted, and perhaps to finally reclaim some control over a situation that had long felt hopeless. I looked at Chloe as she played nearby, her laughter soft and bright, and felt a renewed sense of purpose. I would follow my grandfather's direction, piece together whatever he had left, and use it to build a stronger, safer life for us. The path ahead was unclear, but for the first time in a long while, I felt a spark of hope. Not just hope for answers, but hope that we could step out of the shadow of a family that had wronged us and create something real for ourselves. I couldn't stop thinking about my grandfather's words. That evening, I decided to go through the storage unit where his things had been kept after he passed. The air smelled faintly of old paper and cedar, and I ran my fingers over boxes stacked neatly in the corners. Most of it felt like ordinary keepsakes, but my attention went straight to the roll-top desk he had always treasured. It had been locked for years, and I remembered the key he had told me to find. My hands trembled slightly as I slid it into the lock and turned it. Inside, the desk was surprisingly organized. Papers were stacked, envelopes neatly labeled, and at the very back, a single envelope addressed in his handwriting to me caught my eye. I picked it up carefully, sensing the weight of whatever he had left. Opening it, I found a letter and a USB drive. The letter was precise, written in his calm, measured tone, the kind he always had when he wanted to teach an important lesson without scolding. It explained that he had long suspected Robert's behavior, how he manipulated family members, funneled money from the business, and favored Brittany above all. More than that, the letter warned that my IT access to certain accounts had been noted by Robert, potentially as a way to shift blame if ever needed. My heart pounded as I read each line, realizing how much had been happening behind the scenes without my knowledge. I turned my attention to the USB drive, plugging it into my laptop. The files were detailed financial records, spreadsheets and notes documenting transfers and irregular payments. Even more shocking was a video labeled Family Truth. My hands shook as I clicked on it. There he was, my father, speaking casually with a friend, laughing as he described how he kept the less driven side of the family on a short leash. Hearing him speak so openly, so arrogantly, made my stomach twist. Every insult, every act of exclusion, every expectation that I had been less suddenly had context. The evidence was overwhelming, and yet part of me felt relieved. For the first time, I had the clarity I had been searching for. It explained the financial pressures, the favoritism, and the manipulations I had felt but never fully understood. My grandfather had anticipated this moment, leaving me tools to protect myself and Chloe from the very family who had caused us so much pain. I sat back, processing everything, feeling a mixture of anger, shock, and determination. This wasn't just about money, it was about respect, truth, and finally seeing Robert for who he really was. My grandfather's foresight gave me a sense of direction, a way to finally step out of the shadows of deception and make choices grounded in reality. I knew what I had to do next, and for the first time in years, I felt in control. Chloe deserved a life free from manipulation, and now I had the means to ensure it. The path ahead was mine to shape, and I was ready to take the first step. I spent hours going through the files from my grandfather, checking every document, every number. It didn't take long before the picture became clear. Robert had been counting on the money I had been sending every month, disguised as contributions to family expenses. In reality, he was using it to cover gaps in his own accounts. All the small payments I thought were helping, all the times I had trusted him with routine transfers, had been feeding his schemes. My blood ran cold realizing how much he had depended on me without ever admitting it. I knew I had to act quickly. The automatic transfer that had been going out every month stopped immediately. No explanation, no warning, just a clean break from the system I had unwittingly been part of. The relief I felt was immediate, like a heavy weight lifting, but I also felt a cold surge of power. For once, I had leverage in a situation that had always been one-sided. Robert had assumed my compliance would never change, but now the tables were shifting, slowly but surely. Within days, the messages started. His tone was different this time. No longer the harsh, dismissive words I was used to, but urgent, almost frantic. "We need to talk about the family finances," he wrote. It was the first time I had seen fear in his words, a crack in the armor of control he had always worn so comfortably. I read the message carefully, feeling a strange mix of satisfaction and disbelief. The realization that he could be unsettled by my actions was intoxicating. I didn't respond. I let the messages sit, ignored them, and watched the panic unfold. Every day, more signs of his stress appeared. I received indirect calls from Brittany, probing for answers, trying to figure out why the money had stopped. Diane sent hesitant texts, hesitant because they all knew Robert had been relying on me, but couldn't admit it openly. The situation was unraveling, and I was at the center of a quiet storm that I hadn't created, but now had control over. I focused on Chloe, keeping her life untouched by the chaos that was finally affecting Robert. Her laughter and routines became my anchor, while the pressure mounted elsewhere. I felt a strange satisfaction, not in harming anyone, but in reclaiming control, in standing firm for the first time without fear or apology. The very person who had tried to manipulate and belittle me was now facing the consequences of his own reliance. For the first time, I understood the real power I held. I didn't need to argue, explain, or justify. I simply acted, and the world shifted around me. Robert's desperation was a stark reminder of how much he had underestimated me, and I would not waste this opportunity. Chloe's security, our independence, and my sense of justice were worth every moment of patience. I had drawn the line, and this time I wasn't moving. When Brittany called for a family reconciliation brunch, I knew exactly what it was. Another attempt to pressure me into giving in, to make me feel guilty about stopping the money. I thought about ignoring it, but I also realized that showing up on my own terms could change the dynamic. I decided to go, taking Chloe with me. She was quiet and hesitant, sensing the tension in the air, but I held her hand firmly and reassured her that we were together and safe. The brunch was set in a sunny, upscale cafe. Everyone looked polished, smiles carefully in place, as if they expected me to step into the role of the apologetic daughter. I walked in with Chloe, calm and composed, feeling the weight of every stare. Robert's eyes immediately found me. His face shifted from surprise to frustration the moment he saw we were there. He didn't wait, Before a single word of greeting could be exchanged, he began, loud enough for everyone to hear, accusing me of being selfish and ungrateful. He framed it as if I had hurt the whole family by refusing to keep funding his lifestyle. I stayed quiet at first, letting the words hang in the room. I watched Chloe's small hands clutch mine, feeling her unease, and I knew I had to show her that fear and intimidation wouldn't control us. Calmly, I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone. With deliberate care, I played the audio from the USB drive I had found in my grandfather's desk. Robert's voice filled the room, clear and unedited, talking about how he kept me on a short leash and used me as a tool to cover his own actions. Every sentence he had spoken, every boast and contemptuous remark, echoed in the cafe. The table went silent. Brittany's jaw tightened, Mark's face paled, and Diane fidgeted, unable to meet anyone's gaze. The atmosphere shifted immediately from one of staged civility to raw tension. I watched their expressions change, feeling a sense of relief and vindication. Chloe looked up at me, eyes wide, and I gave her a small nod, letting her know we were safe and right. No one could deny the evidence. The power that Robert had tried to hold over me crumbled in front of everyone. It wasn't about revenge, it was about truth, about finally showing the family who had really been manipulating, hiding behind appearances, and treating us unfairly. The audio spoke louder than any argument I could have made. The brunch that was meant to intimidate us had become the moment the family saw everything clearly, the moment I stepped out of the shadows and reclaimed my voice. Chloe squeezed my hand, her small smile returning. I realized then that exposing the truth didn't just protect us financially. It protected her sense of justice and self-worth too. This brunch was no longer a trap, it had become a turning point. For the first time, I felt completely in control, and I knew we had set the tone for a future where no one could manipulate us again. The moment the audio played, everything changed. Brittany's eyes widened, her carefully composed expression crumbling into disbelief. Mark leaned back, his face pale, and I could see the shock ripple through the room like a wave. Conversation stopped, the polite chatter replaced by stunned silence, broken only by the faint whimpers of other children at nearby tables. The tension was thick, almost unbearable, yet I felt an unexpected calm. Chloe's hand in mine reminded me why I had come, to protect her and stand for the truth. Then Diane spoke. I had waited, hoping for some defense, some acknowledgement of what Robert had done, maybe even a sign that she had cared about Chloe's feelings all along. Instead, her voice was shaky, filled with tears, as she pleaded with me to forgive, to forget, to keep the family together. Every word hit me like a cold wave. She revealed, in that moment, that she had known everything, the financial manipulations, the favoritism, the lies, yet she had done nothing. All those years of pretending, of urging me to bend, had been a choice. She had chosen Robert's side. I felt a deep, cutting betrayal. The one person I had thought might see the wrong and offer support had sided with cruelty. I looked at her, really looked, and the love I once had mixed with a sense of finality. You chose your side a long time ago, I said quietly, letting the words carry their full weight. Chloe tugged at my hand, sensing the gravity of the moment, and I knew we didn't belong here anymore. This family, this network of deception and favoritism, was no longer ours to navigate. Without hesitation, I stood up, lifting Chloe's small hand into mine. The room seemed to shrink around us as all eyes followed, but I didn't look back. I could hear Brittany murmuring, Mark whispering, Diane sobbing, but their voices faded into nothing compared to the clarity I felt. For the first time, I wasn't negotiating, pleading, or trying to explain. I was leaving, and it was final. Outside, the sunlight felt warm and freeing. Chloe's little fingers squeezed mine tightly, and I whispered, We're okay now. We're safe. Her smile, tentative but real, gave me more satisfaction than any confrontation inside could have. The burden of their lies, their manipulations, and their selfishness no longer rested on our shoulders. It was a clean break, a step toward a life where Chloe could grow without fear of judgment or exclusion. I realized that leaving wasn't just about walking away from them. It was about choosing our own path. For years, I had tried to fit into a world that didn't value us. Now, with Chloe beside me, I knew that our happiness, our stability, and our dignity were ours to protect. No one else had a claim on it. The decision was difficult, but necessary. We stepped forward together, finally free from the web of betrayal, ready to build a life that was real, safe, and ours alone. After leaving the brunch, I knew there was no turning back. Everything had changed, and Chloe and I needed to rebuild our lives from scratch. The past weeks of deception and manipulation were behind us, and I was determined to create a safe, stable world for my daughter. The first step was making sure we were fully protected. I reached out to a lawyer, sharing the evidence my grandfather had left behind. Every document, every recording became a shield, a way to secure us from any financial fallout Robert might face as his schemes unraveled. I needed legal clarity so Chloe and I could move forward without fear or dependence. Once the legal matters were in motion, I turned to work. My IT skills, honed over years of dedication, had always been reliable, and now they became the key to our independence. I applied for a major contract I had been eyeing, something that would ensure a stable income for both of us. The project was demanding, but I welcomed the challenge. Every line of code, every solution I implemented brought a sense of control and accomplishment. For the first time, I felt like our future was truly ours to shape. No one could interfere, no one could undermine the life I was building. Chloe watched me with curiosity and admiration as I worked long hours, but I made sure she never felt neglected. We established routines that balanced work and play, laughter and learning. She explored the garden outside, helping me plant flowers and vegetables, her small hands brushing soil and seeds with delight. Her laughter became a soundtrack to our new life, a constant reminder of why I had fought so hard to leave the toxic environment behind. Every day, I saw her growing more confident, more joyful, and more certain that she belonged exactly where she was, with me, in a home filled with love and security. Moving into our new home was liberating. The walls were ours, the rooms ours to fill with our own memories and dreams. I painted Chloe's room in her favorite colors, set up a small library of books we could read together, and created a space where she could be free, creative, and happy. The sense of ownership, of control over our environment, gave me peace I hadn't felt in years. We could finally breathe without the weight of judgment or expectation pressing down on us. Life wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was ours. I felt a deep satisfaction knowing that every step I had taken, from stopping the transfers, to exposing the truth, to rebuilding our lives, was leading us toward stability and freedom. Chloe and I had reclaimed our lives completely. The past would no longer define us. Here, in our new home, surrounded by the sounds of laughter and the comfort of safety, we could finally be ourselves. We had survived, we had learned, and we had created a future that was truly ours. Months passed, and life had settled into a comfortable rhythm for Chloe and me. Then one afternoon, a brightly colored envelope arrived in the mail. Chloe tore it open with excitement, revealing an invitation to her cousin Ava's school play. My heart sank for a moment, realizing it was likely a calculated move by Brittany, sending it only to Chloe, trying to make us feel included while also stirring tension. I could see the intention behind it, but instead of letting it upset me, I decided to turn it into something positive. I told Chloe we could make it a special day, and her eyes lit up. We spent the morning picking out a beautiful dress she loved, something that made her feel confident and proud. I also picked out a gift for Ava, something thoughtful and generous, because I wanted to show that kindness and grace could be our way of handling their attempts to manipulate us. Chloe was thrilled, bouncing around with excitement as we prepared for the event. The drive to the school was filled with chatter and laughter. Chloe talked about the play, about her friends, and what she wanted to see on stage. I smiled, enjoying the sound of her happiness, knowing that nothing from the past could take it away. When we arrived, I helped her out of the car, holding her hand as she walked confidently toward the entrance. Parents were milling around, and I could see a few familiar faces glance at us, probably curious about how we were responding to Brittany's little ploy. Chloe beamed as she joined the other children, her dress swishing around her knees. I handed her the gift for Ava with a warm smile, making sure it looked effortless and genuine. The look on Brittany's face when she saw Chloe standing tall, happy, and fully included without any hesitation or embarrassment was priceless. Robert's expression was even more telling. There was a mix of disbelief and frustration as he realized that their attempt to create tension had completely backfired. Instead of feeling slighted or upset, Chloe radiated joy and confidence. I stayed at the back, watching my daughter interact naturally with her classmates and other parents. She laughed freely, answered questions, and carried herself with a sense of pride I had never seen before. In that moment, I realized that no manipulation, no invitation meant to divide us, could take away the life we had built together. Chloe had grown stronger, and I had learned that the best way to respond to their games was not with anger or confrontation, but with calm, deliberate grace. By the time the play ended, Chloe was glowing with happiness. As we left, I could see the quiet devastation on Brittany and Robert's faces. They had intended to unsettle us, to remind us that they still controlled the narrative, but instead, they were confronted with the undeniable truth. Chloe was thriving, confident, and completely unaffected by their schemes. That day showed me that our strength and dignity were the most powerful response we could ever give. A year has passed, and everything has changed. Robert's business is being investigated, and his reputation lies in ruins. The perfect family image he worked so hard to maintain has completely fallen apart. I don't feel the satisfaction of revenge in the way the world might expect. There's no gloating or showing off. The real victory is quieter, deeper, and more meaningful. Chloe and I spend our mornings in our backyard, planting flowers and vegetables. Watching her laugh freely, without fear or pretense, feels like healing in motion. Her laughter fills our home, a sound I thought I'd never hear from her when we were trapped under my father's and his family's control. These simple moments, tending soil and sharing small victories of growth, have become our real joy. I think back to everything we endured, the manipulations, the favoritism, the cold lessons in what family supposedly meant. My father's version of real family was transactional. It was about appearances, power, and control. Every lesson he tried to force on me only cost him more than he realized. His choices alienated him from me and Chloe, eroding the bond that should have been unconditional. He lost the very people he claimed to value most. For us, the meaning of family has shifted completely. It's not a title or a bloodline that defines it. It's the safety, love, and respect we share in a home we've built ourselves. It's waking up in the morning to a space where laughter comes without fear and decisions are made with care rather than obligation. Chloe's joy, her trust in me, and the freedom to live without walking on eggshells. These are the treasures my father could never understand. Even when I look back at the public humiliation he faced or the scrutiny of his business, it doesn't feel like revenge anymore. Those things are fleeting. What matters is that we chose a life where we can grow, heal, and love on our own terms. Every seed we plant in the garden mirrors the life we are nurturing, a life built intentionally with patience, care, and love. I finally understand that real family isn't something given or earned through manipulation. It's made in quiet, intentional moments. It's built through kindness, safety, and trust. The lessons my father tried to teach me about family's value, they cost him everything truly important. For me and Chloe, our version of family is free yet priceless. We've found peace, laughter, and love in ways my father never imagined. We've learned that the strongest bonds are chosen, not demanded, and the home we create for ourselves is the home that truly matters. My father taught me the price of his real family. It cost him his granddaughter, his daughter, and his integrity. But for me and Chloe, it was free. We learned that real family isn't a title you're given. It's the safe, loving home you build with your own two hands. Do you think I did the right thing by walking away from my father and his fake version of family? Or should I have tried to forgive them? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below.